Hello and good evening from Germany. This is Jonathan Quell Higgins live from Hamburg, Germany. I hope that everybody is doing well and everybody and everything is happy in your place. Yeah, we wrapped up the Geneva Watches and Wonders Fair. I'm doing here the last preparations for the show. Time is a little bit short, so I'm trying to pull up an article here that I haven't found yet. One second. Yeah, I'm trying to keep you updated here also with internal stuff. On the last show, I made a horrible mistake, and I would like to correct that. But to correct that, I must go to Hatingi's webpage, and I can't find the Grand Seiko Kodo. That was a topic of the last show. And I said something wrong. Now here I have it, and I'm gonna go to present mode and fill you in, hopefully. So, okay. So what Grand Seiko did this year was, in my opinion, not really spectacular. They updated the Kodo a little bit, and we were talking about the Kodo. The special thing about the Kodo, the updated and the first generation, is the integrated tourbillon cage that not only has a tourbillon, but it features also a remontoir. And I said it on the last show that the tourbillon or the escapement is ticking with 3 hertz. Truth is, it ticks with 4 hertz, and the integrated remontoir is ticking with 1 hertz. And Grand Seiko is very proud then about the sound that is being generated by this combination. So 4 ticks a second, tick, 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 and then one big tick for the remontoir. It's a nice thing. I'm gonna play a beautiful video that they made, and the sound is fantastic. I hope that I manage to show you that. Crappy Luxury is having a cup of coffee. Hello, Crappy. Good to see you. I'm looking forward to your show. Unfortunately, it's 4 o'clock in the night for me, so I'm gonna watch it the next day. So, Grand Seiko slightly updated their existing Kodo. What is significant now is that the movement bridges and the movement parts are now bright. Previously, they have been dark coated, darkened. What really stands out, in my opinion, are the jewels, the bearings that are usually red, and Grand Seiko now makes them in ice blue. I think that is a very special thing. Did not happen before. Gives the watch a special touch, beautiful visuals. Also, the leather strap is a special leather that used to be for armors for samurai warriors. So there is a lot of myth going on about this particular watch strap. We are having watch strap still. So Zeppi is, I hope that you're wearing that. So Zeppi, my ziplining friend, says, I love my first edition white birch, not bitch, birch. I will say that, Higgy. Hi, Crappy. And Crappy says, hi, Zeppi. So Zeppi, more power to you and to us Grand Seiko wearers. My Grand Seiko is, I have to say that, since 1 year, since almost 1 year at Grand Seiko. And I'm gonna fill you guys in about what happened. I hope that I'm receiving a call this year to get some more clarification. Okay, my voice is a little bit weak. So let's see here the video that Seiko put up, of course. I have to change the window, the presentation for you. Hope that that is working. And of course the video doesn't play on of course it doesn't. Doop, doop, doop. There was such a beautiful video, but for some reason it doesn't play here. So what do I do? What do I do? Let's try Grand Seiko, and then let's move directly to Kodo. Maybe that is how I found it. Kodo. Kodo. Let's see here. The story of the constant force tourbillon unfolds, and so on and so on. Let's have a look if the video is linked here. Bad preparation, I apologize. Hopefully the video shows up here. That is when you're doing it last second. Okay, for further information, click that link. Maybe we have it here. Limited edition of 20, boutique only, features, blah, blah, blah. We want to see the video. That is a video without sound, but it looks promising. It looks, here it is. Here it is. Here's the video. So I hope, one second, let me make sure that I'm sharing the sound. Share the sound. And you please tell me in the comments if you can hear the sound. So I'm playing the video 2 minutes 30, worth watching it. Can you hear the sound? Thank you. Okay, here we go. I think it's a very interesting video that shows a lot of details and elements of this particular watch. I wanted to highlight one thing. That is the escapement for the remontoir, and that is a ceramic star wheel which is stopped and released by this little anchor here. And you heard that 1 second click. So what is a remontoir? It is basically a second spring which is wound by the mainspring and unwound every second, and that leads to a constant force because this kind of after spring or second spring doesn't really care if the mainspring is fully wound or almost dead. So yeah, here we go. I think the music and the sound gives you a good experience what this watch is about. I'm saying it again, spoiled customers are looking for new user experiences, and so this is not only a visual and technological feat, but gives you a different level of experience. I'm pretty sure 20 pieces will be sold out very quickly. So we have new guests here. We have now 13 viewers. We have MD Chas. Someone said Grand Seiko. Yes, Grand Seiko all the way. Patek Chris is joining us in the house. Loose Tooth can't wait until I'm starting my presentation, and I'm gonna do that right now. Oh, we have Chili Badger here, royalty, joining us on the show. Hello, Chili. I hope that you're doing well. And there is some discussion going on about crappy potentially vindicating or doing a kind of how do you say, a pardon for Patrick Philippe or AD Never Calling. I hope that this is happening. Crappy AD Never Calling gave us all great entertainment in the last couple of days, and I think you both should move on and forgive each other. But that is only my opinion. Okay, let's go to the question: what is a chronoscope and or chronoscope? And of course, this is not going to be an easy one because I'm a kind of long talker. So Omega today released a new limited chronograph. It is also a continuation of the chronoscope that they already had. So you can get now the Paris Olympic limited edition with a special case back, limited edition celebrating the Olympics that are happening in Paris in 100 days. Okay, so you're having here a traditional chronograph with the subdial here at 3, and the subdial here at 3 is not a second time zone. However, it can be used like that. This is the minute and the hour counter. Minute and hour counter, exactly, yes. And it displays just like a normal set of minute and hour hands. Now, the name chronoscope is rooted, as far as I know, in Greek. Chrono means time, and scope is, oh, I forgot what scope is now. But chronoscope, I think that is something to do with visual. All I know, a chronograph is a time writer. That is the genesis of the term. And the first chronographs have been instruments, not wristwatches or pocket watches. And they had a running central second hand, and that when you started the chronograph, it left a little drop of ink on a dial, and when you ended it, there was another drop of ink, and then from those two drops you could read the elapsed time. So those are the terms with chrono and what comes after. Now, chronoscope is all about those little central dials that you see here, and I tried to explain that to you. Hodinky previously made a very good explanation, which I would like to share with you at the moment. And they are also explaining here chronoscope. One second, what is a chronoscope? What is a chronoscope? I'm not finding it right now. The scope is explained there. Okay, however, or whatever. So in that central, on that chronoscope, you have 3 elements. You have a tachymeter on the bezel and also on the dial. I'm gonna explain that a little bit later. Then you have a telemeter, which is here, and then you have a pulsometer, which is here. So those scales are then integrated, and that gives you that 3-way pattern that you see here. So let's start with a telemeter, or in French, télémètre. So How you use it is you measure virtually the speed of light versus the speed of sound. And of course, like most of the inventions of mankind, the practical use used to be when there is a cannon roar, and the roar is later than the flash of the exploding cannon. So first you see the flash because the speed of light is much faster, and then you hear the thunder from the cannon. So you start your chronograph when you see the flash, the lighting, and you stop it when you hear the boom. And the elapsed time you read here on the telemeter, and it gives you the distance of this event. So it gives you the distance from that bang. So for example, if that that distance or the difference between the bang and the lightning is around 7 seconds, you read it here on your telemeter, and that event is 2.5 kilometers away from you. Practical use in our days, where we're fortunately not having war in most of our places, is you have a thunderstorm, you see the lightning at first, and then you hear the thunder roar. So you start when you see the lightning, you stop it when you hear the roar, and from that you know how many kilometers that thunderstorm is away from you. That is the practical use of that. Again, I'm trying to show you that central element here. That is the telemeter, and it has a graduated time scale, and it goes from 1 to 19, and it shows you the amount of kilometers where something is away based on the sound. Now the second element is a pulsometer in France, and it is graded for 30 pulsations. So that is used for doctors and nurses usually. So what you do is you test the pulse of your patient who is hopefully alive, and you start with the first beat, and then you count to 30 beats, and you stop your chronograph, and it shows you then the pulsation per minute that your patient has. So very easy thing. If you count 30 pulsations and your chronograph makes one full rotation, that means that the pulse of your patient is 30. Yeah, it is 30. The pulse is 30. If the 30 beats take half a second, the pulse is then 60. So a very practical use. Watches or chronographs that have these functions are also called doctor's watch. So this function is also integrated in this chronoscope. Now the third thing is a little bit more complex. Most of you know what a tachometer is all about. So usually you're measuring speed. So you have the beginning of 1 kilometer. Everything is based in kilometers because Swiss people and also European people measure everything in kilometers. Maybe it will be a good idea to have a graduation in miles. I think nobody did that. Probably yes. Please let me know in the comments if somebody made it in miles. Okay. So at the beginning, you push the start button, and at the end of that 1 kilometer, you push stop. And for example, if the second counter of your watch is here, it means you have an average speed of 180 kilometers per hour, which would be a quick car. If it takes 1 minute to cross that kilometer, that means then your car does 60 kilometers per hour. Now, what happens if you have a slower car and the central second counter makes one revolution and then continues? Well, then you have that little subdial here on the bottom, and it shows you then it continues counting down 60, and then the inner scale 55, 50, 46, 44, and so on. So that little dial here means that it is over 1 minute, but less than two. Now, what happens if that minute counter does another revolution? Then you have inside another scale that counts down then from 30, 29, 28, 27, and so on until 20. So that is that complex scale, snail-like scale that you see here, and now you can see it in full beauty. So what we have here is we have the bezel, that is a tachometer. Then inside telemeter, so we're talking about speed of sound compared to speed of light. Then you have the pulsometer, which checks the pulse. So based on 30 pulsations, it gives you a readout here on that scale. And then 30 is the continuation here of 1 second. No, I screwed that up. No, 30 is not the continuation. 55 is the continuation of the 60 on the outer tachometer. So when this red white striped here minute counter is having more than one revolution, then you count here on that little subscale down, and you get the average speed per kilometer. Another revolution, then you go into the inner scale, 30, 29, 28, 27, 26, and so on. So that is what it's all about. And there you have the chronoscope. Hello.
Hello.
Good evening.
Hello.
Shadow
And good evening.
banning and marzipan. What kind of journalisms are leaving the school today?
Well, marzipan was because it was on the Elite Horology channel, and obviously shadow bands we know about. I was interested in this chronoscope. I literally just logged on, and I can only stay for a little bit, but I did look this up earlier. So are you started to go into the pulsations and the
I did.
telemeter and all
I
that?
did. You missed the
You're
best part where I'm
fuck
where
shit.
I'm trying to pull everything out of my butt. So, but
Okay.
for you, I'm just giving a short summary. You know
Sure, sure,
what
sure.
a tachometer is.
Hmm.
In French, tachymètre. You measure the speed over 1 kilometer.
Hmm.
And the nice thing on that chronoscope is that it covers even slower cars, just like yours.
Of
So
course.
it means when 1 minute is gone, it goes from 60 down to 55. Can you see that here?
Yep, that's it.
So that means after one revolution, that scale goes down all the way down to 30. Then with a second revolution, you go to the even more inner scale, and you count down here even more. So yeah.
This is a good comment from Crappy because I did obviously research the chronoscope before you did the show, and I was kind of thinking the same thing. Like everybody knows, I'm not a big chronograph guy, and like when you talk about the pulsation dial, that's the quote unquote the doctor's watch, where you're tracking the pulse from that versus the tachymetre, which is for obviously tracking speed and whatnot. But like kind of crappy saying it here, people buy these watches with all these absurd complications and never even use them. Like honestly, when I use my chronograph and I use my speedy and whatnot, like maybe I'm timing like steeping tea or something. It's really I don't really have a ton of a use for it in real life. Um, Obviously, the pulsation dial had a use, the doctor's watch, call it you could say, but yeah, I get it. Like I get it, crappy. It's kind of excessive in my opinion as
Yeah,
well.
but so I agree with you that most of the people don't use it, but it just looks cool. I mean, it gives a very vintage vibe, regardless if you really use it or not. I would like to correct you a little bit. The telemeter has a history in war zones because you can estimate the distance where a cannon has been fired by the flash and by the thunder then.
I didn't talk about the telemeter. I talked about the tachymetre, which is
I
tracking
know.
speed.
Yeah, yeah.
I
Well,
only talked about those two, the tachymetra and the
mhm.
pulsations, right? But look,
but
mm,
hear me out. Tachymeter is used by people who observe production processes. So you can not only time the speed of your car, you can also time a special production process. So how long does it take a robot or a worker to put a bolt on an engine? So you time that, and then you know that he can do X amount of bolts per minute.
Zeppy says I buy because of the dial and the dial alone, excluding GMTs, of course. So, I mean, this is a very busy dial. Like it really
Yeah,
is, Higgins. Like just as a full package. Like there's a lot of information. Like as
but
Crappy said, like who's buying this watch, Higgins? Like
yeah, but
why did they buy? Mm,
Tan, we are men. We love to master, to control complex machines, and I think exactly that desire caters to those complicated looking watches. Would you agree with that?
Look, as a man, you haven't mastered, the control of the timing of your tourbillon. It's still plus 1 seconds per day. So, I mean, I think my Hulk is more accurate than that, right? So I'll call you out on that, Mr. Higgins. I don't know. For me, kind of exactly what Zeppy is saying, the aesthetics of this watch is a bit off. The use of the watch, for me at least, is not super functional, I would say. But again, not anti-chronograph, but I'm not a big chronograph guy. So I'm not really going to come with a great opinion with chronographs just out the gates.
Wonderful line from Tim Mosso. Luxury is having more than you need. There you go.
Yeah, it definitely applies, right? Look, I think chronograph fans are going to love this because it's definitely got a lot going on in terms of a singular chronograph. So definitely a cool piece. What do you think of those Arabic numerals, though? Do you like those? Do you think they don't fit well with this watch?
Nah, no, not really. Not really.
Yeah, that's the only thing that kind of stood out to me was the numerals, but it's not a deal breaker in that sense. I just think there's a lot going on with this watch. And look, if you're a chronograph nerd, this could probably be the piece for you. But for me, it's definitely not. I'd stick to the standard Speedy. That's all I need.
That's it. Have you seen, and we're talking again about telemeters now. Have you seen a very rare Rolex coming on the auction block?
No, I haven't caught up with the auction stuff yet.
Okay. So very rare Rolex reference 4113. Special thing about that one
Split.
is
It's a split.
split second mono pusher,
Ooh, nice.
1 of 12. And you can see on those old, I think that is an old Valjo movement. You can see the orientation of the pusher. So the distance from that pusher at 2 is less than the pusher on 4.
Right, right.
And that is the layout of those old Valjo movements. You see that on many of those old chronographs. And just like I said, here we have another tachometer at the outer ring. 1 second.
Yep, you can see it.
And a telemeter at the inner ring. And Arab numerals. So you better be careful criticizing Arab numerals on Omegas, because your beloved Rolex chronographs have that as well. Now, in my opinion, this watch is not well, it is special and super rare, but this watch has a nice extra, and it's that. Do you know what this is all about?
Well, I know it's. I'm assuming it's John Goldberger's watch.
Exactly.
Yeah,
And
but one thing you
that
didn't.
is
Yeah, sorry. Go ahead. Go ahead. Go ahead.
that is the famous watch that he had in an interview with Ben Clymer at Hodinkee, and this watch and Goldberger became famous of taking a cheese knife. I think the interview was at his home,
Hmm.
taking a cheese knife and opened that watch, and Ben Clymer's breath stopped. So this particular cheese knife is part of that auction, and I think that's a very nice touch.
So was this watch part of the series when Ben Clymer showcased some of John Goldberger's watches? And you remember the unicorn that became that big scandal where I think in the interview it was pitched as being either all original or restored, with original parts. But then I think the Perez Scope article came out later that there was a lot more going on to the story than that. And so, there is obviously a bit of a blemish, I would say, when it comes to anything related to Goldberger and
Mm,
Rolex chronographs. And this is a Rolex chronograph, like you said, that's owned by, Goldberger. Also, interesting enough, this is also anti-magnetic. It
yeah,
says that on the dial. It's also an interesting point of this. So you got a split second or a retropont chronograph that's anti-magnetic. And like you mentioned, tachymètre and as well as télémètre on the dial, which is pretty cool, very unique, very un-Rolex, I would say. Pre Daytona, pre
yeah.
Cosmograph, pre everything. Like this is how Rolex originally envisioned their chronograph, but and also like you said, potentially using a Valjoux 77, or not 7750, but a
No, it's
Valjoux
not
movement,
7750. Come on, let's not go there.
A Valjoux movement, right? So
Yeah,
when you're looking at a Valjoux movement, everybody complains about Panerai. They're like, oh, why would you buy at a PAMS? I'm like, guys, like, did you not realize that Rolex and a lot of these companies use the Bosch movements forever? Like, they built their names off of it. So
of course.
why is that such a bad thing? I don't get it.
Well, to defend a little bit, those Valjo movements back then have not been mass produced to a degree, just like they've been produced in later years. So, but you're right. Manufacturer movements were practically non-existent. It was a shared. It was a teamwork. The big watch companies all purchased their watch movements from suppliers. That is how it all started, and yeah, this is just an example of it.
And Whole Milk's pointing out the same thing I pointed out, right? A bit of a uh, questioning the trust and the authenticity of these pieces, right? Like, I would honestly, Whole Milk, I would agree that there should be a bit of an asterisk when it comes to chronographs that are owned by John Goldberger and how they're presented. So yeah.
So the auction text says that there are two Rolex documents. I think one from 1991,
Hmm.
before he owned this particular watch, to support the claim that is out there. But I mean, we are talking here about a 2.8 to 5.6 million euros watch, and I'm pretty sure that Monaco Legends did a lot of research to avoid this kind of disaster, because it's not only harmful for the collector, it's also harmful for the auction house when Periscope is finding out that there's something dodgy with the watch that you sold.
Absolutely, and Lucius gives a couple other examples of watches that have, multiple different methods of using the chronograph and reading the chronograph, whether it's having a tachymetra or also having I think this one has a pulsation on the paddock as well as the brigade. So a couple of different options. I don't know if we're going to pull these up, but I just, I wanted to bring this up for the crew.
Are you bringing it up?
No,
Or
I
okay,
saw I
okay.
saw the references that we can, I think we're good. This is a good, this is definitely a good piece to review because obviously very different than a traditional Rolex, right? And look at this price, like 2.8 million to 5.6. Like
Mm.
that's not peanuts.
No, definitely not, and not something that should be cobbled together or have a questionable provenance.
I'm interested to know that all the guys that like, gawk and scoff at like the paddock auction prices, when they go over a million, I wonder if they would simp this watch and say, yeah, it's totally worth this because it's a Rolex, or whether they'd hate it. And I think it's probably going to be on the hate side because of just the more of a dress watch. But if it was like a Daytona or something, I think everybody would be going bonkers over it.
Of course, of course.
Yeah,
So yeah, so on yesterday's Archie show, there were two elements that I would like to cover a little bit.
sure.
So the discussion was a lot about perpetual calendars, and after I'm gonna rave about the
Oh,
the
you
age.
have to. Yes, you. When we were talking about this, I think someone super chatted this question about the perpetual, and it immediately went into my mind because I remember when you did it on Swiss and John, where you showed
Yeah,
the date. So I'll let you get into it, but I immediately thought of that when I saw this.
yeah, I have to do that because
Please, yeah, please.
yeah, it has been ignored. What is so cool about this particular watch? So it is not that little hand that indicates the month just on that outer hour track. So at the moment it shows September because this is the ninth month of the year. It shows the date, and the date is big without having a gap in between, And technically, you can't have those big numerals on a traditional date disk because there's simply not enough space. So you have to make that smaller. Or you go to the solution that H. Moser did, and that is just so fantastic that I would like to show it to you guys again. So here we have the movement with the dial removed, and you can see that H. Moser is using stacked date disks. So you have that upper disk that goes from 1 to 15, and then you have a lower disk that goes from 16 to 35. And where the 19 is at the moment, that is where the date aperture at the dial is. So what happens in the first 15 days of the month? That upper disk is being displayed with those big numbers, and you can see there is no space for 31 days or dates or however you define it. And then that gap opens and you can see the lower disk. And the result is just a perfect display of the date, which in my opinion cannot be optimized or made better. And there you go. That's a watch. Anything to add?
Yeah, I think it solves probably the biggest problem when it comes to perpetual calendars, and that's too much information and legibility.
Yeah.
Like when we met up last summer, and we had just gotten our new perpetual calendars. You had the Lange Langematic, I had the Paddock 5320, and one thing I pointed out right away was legibility on the Lange, and I said, as we age, obviously our ability to see the dial and be able to read it is going to diminish. And I really feel that this watch and the way Moser has architected their perpetual calendar is probably one of, like you said, the most ingenious ways, a very smart way of doing it. But also from a legibility perspective, it's just so right in my opinion. So yeah, I think this was a knockout of the park in terms of what Moser can do, and this is honestly one of my most favorite Moser watches, their perpetual lineup. So, and Whole Milk does have a good comment here. He says, not to mention that the Moser Perpetual is one of 3 perpetual calendars that can go backwards and forwards, which solves a huge problem, Whole Milk, in setting the perpetual calendar where you're always worried, like, fuck, am I going to break it if I make a mistake? And my perpetual, I think, has like 6 or 7 steps before it's correctly set. So yeah, very, very real, very, very real scenario. And people, that's definitely a big value if it can go backwards.
Here you can see that they even perfected or minimized the entire thing by leaving away the power reserve scale on the dial. I think that's even better.
Yeah, I think on the Streamliner it actually looks really, really nice. And look, they're the kings of minimalism in that sense, right? Like they've always been about somewhat minimalism, more of it being like let the dial speak for itself or the aesthetic speak for itself. They don't put the Swiss made on the dial for whatever reasons that I think is just more marketing, if anything. But their whole MO has been very much on minimalism, and I think that this really hits the nail on the head.
I think we have to time Crappy out because he was not paying attention. So Crappy is now asking, "What is the little arrow on the Moser?" Crappy, I just tried to explain that. I think you mean that little arrow here in the middle. One
That's
second.
right. Yeah, he's right in the middle. Yeah.
So that is the display of the month. So at the moment it shows 12 like 12 hours or 12 o'clock. So that means we have December, and this little arrow or that little hand moves 1 revolution per year. So where you would read 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock, and so on, that shows you the date, meaning 1 is January, 2 is February, and so on.
And I believe if I remember correctly, in the movement on the back is where you track what of the
Exactly.
four
The leap year.
years, like where
Yeah.
you're on the leap year. Yeah, leap year indicator.
Here you have that scale for the
Mhm.
leap years. So that is an information that is not usually needed on the fly. You only need that if you set up the calendar from scratch. There you have the information, but it's not necessary on a daily basis. So I
Yeah, I
think,
mean it's on the dial of mine, and I believe on yours as well. And is it necessary? Is it not? I don't know. Like I just knew it was good this year because I knew it was the leap year, so it was
yeah.
it was obviously exciting to see the perpetual calendar switch to March 1st from the 29th, or then the 28th to the 29th of February. But yeah,
Did
look,
you
I
wait
think that
that night?
I had the watch on both nights. I had
Yeah.
both the 28th. the 29th, and I think I wore it on the 1st as well. Yeah, it was just you have to, right? Like I think
Yeah,
I
yeah.
texted you. I'm like, you have to be wearing
Yeah,
this
yeah,
watch
of
right now.
course, of course. I mean that once every 4 years, our perpetual calendars pay off.
Zeppy's asking about. So we're on to the topic of perpetual. Zeppy's asking what your thoughts are on the new eternal calendar, which is actually a secular perpetual calendar. And yeah, what do you think?
Well, it's a very cool calendar. Can you pull it up in the background, maybe?
I literally have to leave in 5 minutes because I got some
Oh
other stuff
shit.
coming up. That's
Okay.
why I'm like, I hopped on for a little bit to help
Mm.
you out, but
So
yeah, I've
so
literally
that
got 5 minutes.
so that eternal calendar goes even further than the normal secular calendars, because in the year 2004, 100, 2500, and so on, the leap year is left out. And this eternal calendar considers all those changes until the year 3999.
Hmm.
And why it doesn't cover the year 4000 is very easy. Our scientists have not worked out if 4000 will be a leap year or not.
Yeah, it's. I think it's look. That's probably your most epic calendar watch, you could say, because it's literally going to be active and accurate. But look, not to say that the perpetual wouldn't either. I mean, I don't know how many of us are going to be alive in the year 2100 when you do need to adjust it, but the eternal calendar definitely fits the bill. And like, I think it's a cool concept. I've always liked secular perpetual calendars. I thought they were great, and
It
they're very
is,
obscure, right? So they're not very commonly made. You don't see a lot of them being made by a lot of the brands. So.
but in my opinion, the cooler thing is the that little glass container with the century lever. One second.
Yeah, Zeppy says
You
it's
know what I mean?
unreal. Yeah, honestly, Zeppy, I agree with you, man. I'm a big. Everyone knows I don't like chronographs, but I'm a big calendar guy. So for me, perpetual calendars, secular calendars, I nerd out into all the weird type of calendars. Like they have the Hijri calendar in the Arab world. They've got the Chinese. I think there's a Chinese calendar as well. So it's just cool for me to kind of explore those.
I still think that this century lever in that sealed little glass container is way cooler, and you can tell a much better and nicer story compared
Mm.
to, oh, this is an internal calendar. I think that is the coolest thing when it comes to complicated watches.
So for those
Sorry.
that yeah, for those that don't know what Jonathan is showing, he's showing a little
Mm.
vial. So this actually came with the IWC Da Vinci perpetual calendar from
Yes.
I believe it was launched in the 80s, you said. And
Mhm.
and you said at the time this really drove a lot of people to buy IWC. And part of the story was when you buy this watch, you get this little vial. And I believe Higgins, you said this was even before the whole nomenclature of you never really own a Patek Philippe, you merely keep it for the next
Yes.
generation. This was predating all of the legacy heirloom type of stories that are being marketed. And so in this vial, very hard to see, but it has a number 22, a number 23, and a number 24. And what these parts are for when whoever is going to take this watch for service potentially in the year 2100. Well, obviously what's included in the disc that's already there, or the part of the movement that's already there for the date is not going to go to 2100. So or 2200, sorry. So here you have the actual part when you take it to IWC in the year 2200 that they will be able to correct it, and they include this all the way up to the year, I think it's 2400 you see there. So I mean, Jonathan, you sold these watches back then in the 80s. Like how was that story taken by the customer? Like how did they receive it?
I mean that was very easy to sell if when you told the story right. Of course, you were making it far way too complex and too complicated. So I'm trying to show you the watch, and I'm trying to explain you then the story that I was trying to pitch. Where is
Yeah,
it
sorry, we
again?
can't all have like German engineering on all of our conversations, right? It can
Yeah, yeah,
never
yeah,
be
no,
that
that's good.
refined.
You're
Uh,
forgiven.
all right, I gotta run though, Higgy baby. I'll see you guys next time. Enjoy
Oh,
the
come
show.
on. I was so much looking forward to the 30
No, no,
meter
I'll be
water
no, no.
resistance
Yeah, no,
bitching.
yeah. We got to do that on a full show when I'm around. But
Okay.
I'll see you guys
So,
next time.
yeah, okay. Bye-bye. Thank you very much for joining. So, I hope that you can see that on that small image on the fly. I couldn't find a better image, bigger one. One second, let me let me try to make it as good as possible for you. So here is the Da Vinci. That is the first watch that had this particular thingy. So you see here a chronograph with a perpetual calendar. What was revolutionary, and no other watch had that, was a display for the year. In this case, it says 2000. And that little display consists of a little lever that starts with 19, then it moves down to 20, and then it moves down to 21. And then you have two little discs that then count the years. So at the moment it's 2000, so it means 20 and 00. And you could tell the client by showing that little thingy, that little part that I just showed you. Okay, so your Da Vinci counts until the year 2199, and then it will stop. But don't worry, your hairs are not in trouble, because I'm giving you that little part, and that makes the watch then able to move on. So the watchmaker just replaces that little lever, and then your watch is good until 2499. And that is a story. That is basically the pitch. You never really own a Patek Philippe. You wear it, you keep it, and you hand it down to the next generation. And that spirit was captured here with that sealed little glass container. And that was just an amazing thing to do. Okay, let me check the comments, because people complain that, or I'm not drawing enough attention to the chat. So so Whole Milk said that the H. Moser perpetual calendar can be set forwards and backwards. A common problem with perpetual calendars is if you screw that setting process up, and if you're going too far, you're having a hard time to set it then correctly. In doubt, you have to move forwards to 4 years. In the case of the IWC Da Vinci that I just showed you, if you move to 2025, there is no other way than stop and wait until 2025, or give it to IWC to reset it. So the H. Moser is not only easy to read, but it's also easy to set. Zeppi is asking, what do you guys think of the IWC? Yeah, we have that one. Crappy got his question replied. Whole Milk is skeptic about the gravitational pulse. I think that is exactly the reason why it has not been decided if 3999 will be a leap year or not. And we will leave that to next generations to decide that. So Zappi likes the eternal calendar. Why would a watch indicate the month? How would anyone not know what month it was? Well, you need to know that for the setting process, Crappy. If you have a perpetual calendar, this watch knows if you're in February with 28 or 29 days, or in March with 31 days. So you have to program the watch in a certain kind of way to tell it the month, and that is exactly what that little arrow is about. Now you make a good point. Everybody knows what month it is, and that is why that little arrow is so small. I want someone to make the French Revolutionary calendar watch. That's gonna be fun. Who the Fike will be wearing a watch in the year 2400? That is not the point. I think it gives such a watch an image or a credo of eternity. And I mean, we're wearing, we're buying, and we're selling very expensive timepieces without that aura of eternity. That market will not go that well. I think everybody who buys a luxury watch has it in mind that this will outlast him probably. Otherwise, they wouldn't be spending that kind of money. They would buy a Victorinox watch, then knowing that probably after 2 or 3 years they will get something new. And it also gives a message to the client. First of all, we are competent. We are here for many years, and you're buying a piece of eternity. That is a very important part of the illusion of the user experience. Okay, so Zappy enjoyed 10. Thank you very much for not saying that you enjoy me. So cool, fuck me dead. Very good. So yeah, yesterday brought also a very good point. Yeah, nice sales spiel. Exactly that's what it is. But it's also fascinating that those pieces are so cool. Okay, so yesterday also was a question, affordable perpetual calendars, and I was just randomly looking on Chrono24 for affordable perpetual calendars, and I think I found a couple of interesting ones. So my first one that I was looking for was Mont Blanc. This is a little bit of cheating because I think Archie said yesterday C means there is a certain era where Mont Blanc perpetual. Okay, Mont Blanc perpetual. There is a certain era where a French gentleman named Jérôme Lambert was running the company, and he came from JLC. He's now the big honcho at Richemont, and he brought a Mont Blanc to new heights. And you can get here a Mont Blanc perpetual calendar watch for roughly $4,000. I hate those chrono ads. Why is it not possible to have that? It's a very simple movement. The orientation of the complication is really odd. I didn't like those first perpetual calendars at all. But at the end of the day, they are perpetual calendars with an ETA 2892 movement, which is not a bad one. Of course, it's not a manufacturer movement, but it's a very affordable alternative to the other perpetual calendars, unless you want to buy what is the name of the cheap brand? Don't get it at the moment. So you know what I mean. So yeah, another cool watch in my opinion, and Bear Clooney mentioned that, is the IWC GST perpetual. I'm planning an own segment about IWC watches in the Porsche design years and after. So here you have the GST IWC. GST stands for gold, steel, and titanium. So those watches were made in gold or in steel or in titanium. Titanium was very prominent and very catchy. So that is the after Porsche design years, and they brought out here that perpetual calendar chronograph. You can have them for below $10,000. You can see it's the same layout like the Da Vinci. You have here that year display, and it's virtually the same movement just in the Da Vinci, but in my opinion in a very sporty and attractive package. In my opinion, the watch is still modern, still cool. You get a lot of value for those. The titanium bracelet has an incredible quality, so this is a beautiful thing to get. But there are other IWC perpetual, and I'm going low to high, and there you go. One watch that I really like is here the so-called Novecento. That was the little sister of the Da Vinci. So this is not a chronograph, a rectangular, and it has only the year display here. It doesn't have the decades. So you can't do that sales spiel with that little century lever, but it's a proper perpetual calendar, and it has the display of the year. In my opinion, very cool watch, and you can have it. Some are even going for below $8,000. The case is solid gold. Very cool watch. So what else do we have? Yeah, we have Bear Clooney here in the house. I've seen OC here in the house. Happy weekend to everyone. We have Billie Jeans joining us. Hello, good evening. Thank you very much for coming back. Thomas Burnett, are you back from Geneva, or are you still at an airport, or what are you doing? I hope that you're doing well. And talking about Thomas Burnett, I'm posting the link in the comments. So anyone who wants to discuss affordable perpetual calendars is very welcome. Another one, which I find it more attractive than the classic traditional Da Vinci in gold with the white dial, is here the steel one with a black dial. Very cool watch. You can see here the layout again with the year display. Very cool watch. And you can also find Archie's watch that he's considering. And in my opinion, the price is not super excitingly low. Let's have a look where it is. I found it here also way below the 15,000. Where is it? Where is it? Where is it? Go to the next one. This is going nowhere. So the predecessor here, Romana, has the same movement virtually, and you can get those way below 10,000. So IWC certainly affordable perpetual calendars. Now it has been a secret thing, but it's not anymore. Blancpain made some very nice perpetual calendars, and I would like to show that to you. Low to high. So that is the traditional perpetual calendar that they made in the 1980s. Unfortunately, a little bit small with 34 millimeters. Beautiful with the face in the moon phase. They made that also in steel. In steel, sometimes it can be had for $6,000. Crazy cheap when you consider how expensive those have been when they were new. Now, what I really like is here the Le Mans flyback chronograph with a perpetual calendar, $16,300 for a perpetual calendar chronograph flyback without a Valjoux 7750. This one has a Frédéric Péguet base movement 1185, so certainly high end, and super nice watch. Highly recommended. The size is also acceptable. 1 second, what is the size? 40 millimeters. There we go. Beautiful watch, which it's a very affordable perpetual calendar. You can also have this in with a metal bracelet, but unfortunately they're really sold out. A couple of years ago, they were plenty of those with metal bracelets around 13,000 US dollars. The market has picked up a little bit, but still very nice, very affordable watches. Now I've been checking what Patek is offering as perpetual. Patek perpetual, and the cheapest, most affordable perpetual calendar. Those are auctions, so those are misleading. But here you have the 5040 with the turtle, tortue, or tonneau case, around 30,000 they are starting. My opinion, very good value for money, particularly because it has the beautiful 240 movement, which I hope, yeah, here it is. So the 240 movement with a micro rotor, 30,000 US dollars. Beautiful watch, and slightly I think it was slightly larger than its counterpart, which is the Patek 3940. In my opinion, one of the most beautiful perpetual calendars, particularly in white gold. here we go. The only flaw with this particular watch is that it's 36. Some people consider it to be too small. I know that Patel Tan tried one on. He was totally in love with it. And as far as I remember, he didn't complain about the size. So beautiful perpetual calendar, but a little bit or way more expensive. It picked up. Those could be had also for 25,000 US dollars, not a long time ago, but people discovered those. So let's check out 3940s, the cheapest one's on the market. Here with the Roman 43, the classic yellow is now 50. Crazy. Prices have really picked up. So of course, we know that there is a German alternative to Patek and probably more beautiful. So let's Google Lange Perpetual. And there we go. Archie knows that very good deals could be made. Those here, the rose gold, the yellow golds, have been below 30,000 US dollars. They picked up recently the prices. So this is now 41, the cheapest in China, which you shouldn't buy because it has a questionable provenance. But here you can see the platinum 52.5, which is still a good price. Let's check if it has the deployant buckle, because the deployant buckle in platinum is 7,000-8,000. It has the normal standard buckle. So some of them even have deployant buckle around 50,000 at the moment. So, okay, we are talking about Glashütte watches. So let's have a look at what Glashütte Original has in perpetual. Low to high. There's a watch called, so the Carré is a very interesting case shape. Perpetual calendar, 6,500 US dollars, smashing price in my opinion. What else do we have? We have the Senator here for around 10,000. Also very good money, value for the money. Have a look at that. That's just gorgeous. 11,000. What is the size? Let's check the size. 42 millimeters. So it's a modern, recent size. In my opinion, it's maybe a little bit too big. But beautiful movement, very highly recommended. So are you oh yeah, very good point. Ludwig Oechslin. 1 second. I haven't thought about that, but you're right. Ludwig Oechslin, I think Oechslin. Why don't I find him here? Maybe no use, but I think that his perpetual is like 7,500. Is that correct? Ludwig watches. Here we go. It's now Ox and Junior. And that is why I didn't find it. Okay, so here is Ox and Junior. They explain how to read it. So you can scroll here down. So you see that red dot that shows the date. And we are in January. Now let's see what changes if we go to February. So where does the date here change? I think that that thing here moves then, that inner ring. Let's have a look. Oh, okay. That thing moves with the month, as you can see here. So the date doesn't move anymore. So that moves with the month, and then the dot changes when there is a leap year. So the position of the dot changes. And you can also see the power reserve here on that little wheelie. Power reserve up and down. And I think that little thing here is the central second. Is that correct? Okay. So how much is that? I think that is 5,000 or something. 5, 6? Second, let me check. Let me check. Doesn't say. Holmec, help me. How much is that? Let's see, Ox and Junior. Let's have a look at Chrono 24. Ox perpetual. No, none on Chrono 24. Oh, 20? I thought it was cheaper. That's surprising. I think it was cheaper, but okay. Do you have one? So other affordable perpetual calendars here from the panel. Big question mark. What is the cheap brand? It's not Maurice Lacroix. It is. I don't get it. So what else do we have here? Breitling has been discussed. IWC we had. JLC was not allowed, but for the fun of it, let's check some Jaeger perpetual calendars. I think that the master is really affordable as well. Low to high. And there you go. Below 10,000. What is the case size? 33, that is too small. 8 days power reserve perpetual calendar, 40 millimeters for 10,000 with a machine finished manual wound perpetual calendar. What else do we have here? Ultra thin perpetual. It's a normal perpetual here. We have also ultra thin for 12,900. So yeah, people moan about that the watch market price is not good, but those are buying opportunities very often. So it's not a bad thing that the watch markets are so down. So Crappy asks me to check a minute repeater Invicta. What the fuck is that? But for you, Crappy, I'm going to pull it up for you, trusting that you will make your peace with Patrick Phillip. So, oh, I can't pull that up, Crappy. 1 second. Okay, let's do it differently. Invicta perpetual Joma shop. Let's see what I can find here. See, is that a quartz watch? No, minute repeater perpetual. Minute repeater perpetual. Here we go. Minute repeater perpetual calendar men's watch for $400. I don't want a discount. Let me pull that up. Where's the catch? Crappy, do you mean that? Out of stock. Retail 2,400. Good evening, Thomas.
Hi there. How are you doing?
I'm doing very good.
We're looking at Crappie's Invicta.
Yeah.
Very impressive Crappie.
It's a quartz movement.
$407.
Yeah.
Wow.
I don't know where the minute repeater comes from. Probably it's a chiming. But it's nice. I mean, apparently it has an analog display for all those perpetual calendar functions and retrograde as well. So I give them some credit here for putting some effort into this particular watch. I'm still not sure about the minute repeater. Do you think there will be an artificial gong?
There must be. Yeah.
Probably, yeah. One second, let me try.
Interesting.
Yeah. So Crappy is telling me the reference, and now I'm trying to find a video. Invicta 10915. How was Geneva?
It was wonderful.
Did you have a good time?
I really enjoyed. Last time I just went for 2 days, just for the shows, and this time I went for 4 days. So I really got the chance to enjoy Geneva a bit more and enjoy the city itself, and see a few sights, and see the old town, and it was just a stunning place to live. I'd love to live there if I could afford it, but
yeah, it's a beautiful place, and also the climate is very modest. It's not too cold in the winter and not too hot in the summer.
Yeah, it was 23 degrees when we were there. It was lovely. It was really nice.
What I liked most was your video about Recep Recep's workshop.
Yeah.
Those desks are amazing. I know that those are custom made because a friend of his owns does all those solid gold furnishings. Also in their meeting room you can see a lot of beautiful table and so on. But this is something that you don't see in any other watch manufacturer.
Yeah.
I didn't dare to show that because I haven't asked for your permission. So
go for it. Yeah, show it. Yeah.
I'll do it on the next show with you.
It was amazing. Well, I'll just explain to the crowd. We'd been to Watches and Wonders for the Saturday evening, and for the Saturday, and on the evening we went to and had something to eat, and well, I went to the same old restaurant for a steak, and one of my friends didn't want to go to the same old restaurant we'd been to the night before, so we went into the old town, and we found an Irish bar, and they were doing tapas and burgers, so he had a burger there. While he was waiting, and he wandered down the street, and he came back, and he said, "I've just seen the Acrivia in Recep's workshop." I couldn't believe him. So I wandered down from this bar in this little street in the old town, and there it was, Recep's workshop with the lights on, and you could see all the watchmakers' desks and all the tools that they had on the side, and it was just fascinating. I was absolutely blown away.
You struck gold there, I must say, because I think from that main street you can't see that. So I have no idea how you managed to get those proper shots, but it was absolutely amazing.
Yeah, I mean, and just to think, you must be able to during the daytime actually see the watchmakers working on the watches through the window.
Yeah.
So you could actually for 5 years or so go every day and watch your watch being made.
Yeah, isn't that amazing?
Yeah, be amazing.
Yeah. So Holmik is asking, Thomas, can you give us the scoop on Watches and Wonders and the industry buzz? What did you hear?
There were some watches, there were some wonders, and there were some blunders. Yeah, it was for a lot of the big brands, the Rolex, the Patek, the Tudors. It was all a bit meh, but there's some really nice things from some of the other brands. Cartier had and Piaget had a lot of their museum pieces on display from their museums, their old vintage pieces dating back to the 1920s for Cartier, which was stunning to see. Resents were great. The little vintage sort of area with Gronfeld, Chapek, Resents, Lon Ferrier, Arnold and Son, Louis Monet, Ferdinand Berthoud. That's one of the best areas of the show, because you've actually got the watchmakers there. Sylvian, what's it called? Rudy Silva, sorry. You got the brand owners and watchmakers there, so you can sit down and just talk to them and talk about their watches, and they're very open. And the Gronfeld brothers were there. Rudy Silva's owner was there. The Chapek representatives were all there. Same with Laurent Ferrier. The designers from Laurent Ferrier, spoke to a designer from Laurent Ferrier. Yeah, absolutely amazing to talk to them.
Did you also go to the independent watchmakers, AHCI?
Yeah, I went to the HCI show on the Friday evening. I went as soon as I landed, and I bought one of their books, one of the HCI books, which was 50 francs. I didn't realize they were selling them, but the lady at the desk, when I first entered, had one on the desk. And I said, "What's this book?" She said, "We're selling them for 50 francs. I said, "Can you buy them in England?" And she said, "No, they're sold out in England." So I bought one straight away, and I had a Sharpie pen on me. And I thought I'll get everyone to sign, all the watchmakers I can see, to sign it. And so I did. So on each page, it explains all the members of the different pages. It explains all the members of the HCI. So Konstantin Chaikin drew me a little picture of a Joker watch and wrote a nice little message to me. Bernard Lederer signed it for me. Kari Voutilainen, Hajime Asoka, Lin Hyunghwa. The list goes on, and then Philippe Dufour signed it for me. And later on, outside, Philippe Dufour stood outside smoking his pipe, and we had a nice little chat with him and his daughter. And his daughter was wearing a Simplicity watch that she made herself, and
with a black dial.
Yeah,
yeah,
and it's just amazing to sort of hang out with these people casually. These heroes of the watch industry. You hang out with them casually and just sort of chat with them, and it's just amazing. It was. I found it better than Watches and Wonders, to be honest with you. That independent show.
Yeah, I think you made a good point. I have a friend who used to be a Formula One fan, but he says in the old days you could come really close to the cars and the drivers, and now there are different levels of cards, of entry cards, and basically you can watch, but you can't get close anymore. What happens really at AHCI is you can't get any closer to those people, and they're really welcoming it. It's not that they are trying to brush you off. They're really super approachable and very nice to talk to.
Absolutely, they're not trying to sell their wares. They're just showing their wares, and they're more than happy to engage with you. And Konstantin Chaikin, for example, he wrote in this book, "Thank you for supporting independent watchmakers," and drew this little picture and said, best wishes and greetings from Konstantin Chaikin. And what's it called again? Stefan Kadoki again, because I'd met him in Ireland, and he remembered me, and him and his wife remembered me, and and said, "Oh, how did he have a good? Did he have a good time in Ireland when we last saw you?" And
wow,
and they're just so nice, casually sitting back, having a drink themselves, and chatting to other watchmakers, and they're networking with each other. It's a place where they go to socialize with the other people in their industry, in their independent watchmaking industry, and talk to fellow watchmakers and enthusiasts. And it's just such an open place to Yeah, like Homeless says, the independence you get to appreciate now how passionate they are from the live streams. They are just so passionate and not wanting to push their wares on you, but just to educate you about watchmaking.
Yeah.
Bernard Lederer there was amazing, and explaining his dual escapement watches and how George Daniels had told him that it could never be done, and how he went ahead and did it. It's just amazing.
Not sure if you've seen it. I did a 1 hour interview with Bernhard Lederer for Watch Nicholas.
Right.
And what really fascinated me was Nick was with an assistant, and then he was handed over to Mrs. Lederer, and I told Mrs. Lederer via phone that there are 35 people watching, and she said, "Oh, now that there are 35 people watching, we should honor and respect those, and let's have Mr. Lederer himself explain his watches." So I found that a very nice gesture. Instead of just continuing, she stopped and said, "Oh, we have 35 people being interested in our watches, so this must be done then by Bernhard himself." So it was a fantastic interview, I think.
And that's the attitude they have, all
Yeah.
of these independent watchmakers. It's the attitude they have. Right up to Philip Dufour, who's like the god of independent watchmaking, these people are just sort of there to talk to you, educate you about how they work, how they think about ideas, how they collaborate with each other, how they anything you want to know, you can ask them anything and they'll happily answer.
Yeah, I think you have that experience now for multiple times, because you're also going to small watch shows, and so you're seeing them more or less on a regular basis. What I'm hearing quite often is when people know, or when they hear the prices, or the selling prices of those independent watchmakers, many people have a totally wrong idea about the people who are behind those watches. So the fact that Philippe Dufour is now charging $750,000 for one of his watches doesn't mean that he's out of touch. You still can approach him, and he's still great to talk. So I think those personal meetings set the perspective to many who were never who were never interested in independent, maybe cannot afford them, would never afford them, but it changes the perspective, because those crazy things that we're talking here on the channel, some of them are very expensive, but that doesn't mean that we are out of touch or arrogant or anything. It is just moving the passion to a different level.
Yeah, absolutely. Crappy's asking me, did I get one of the 9 franc hot dogs? No, I went to a restaurant one day and me and a friend, we got a Côte de Boeuf, which is a very extravagant steak dish where they cook a big joint of steak and then cut it up for you. And that was 150 francs for 2 of us.
Oh shit. Okay.
So that was 150 francs, Crappy. So it was 10 francs for a pint of beer. It's an expensive place, Crappy. The Rosti was gorgeous. We had Rosti one night, and that was 30 francs for a Rosti.
What?
And 29 francs for a Rosti with it was either just a plain Rosti was 27
plain
francs.
Rosti? Oh my god.
Plain Rosti was 27 francs.
It's just potatoes.
Yeah, just grated potatoes. Or I got 29 francs. I got a couple of slices of chorizo sausage and a couple of peppers sprinkled on top. So that was 29 francs.
Crappy is asking, did you have any Mövenpick coffee?
I didn't, Crappy. No.
Too bad, because that is a Swiss. Mövenpick is a Swiss gourmet brand, and you can buy Mövenpick coffee here in Germany, and also in Switzerland. And some hotels have Mövenpick coffee.
Yeah.
So for you, it was a win.
It was a win. Absolutely. I can highly recommend just going for the AHCI show, which is on for a week. It's on from Tuesday to Sunday, I believe. Just going for that show. I mean, I spent £500 just in spending money in 4 days, and but my flight was £30 there and £65 back, and then medical insurance was, travel insurance was £40, so it's £120 ish just to get there and back. And then I paid £130 for 4 days in an apartment in France. An Airbnb. We stayed just across the border from Geneva, in France. So
how did you commute then there? Is the tram going there?
We got a tram from the place in France to Geneva. Okay. Yeah, it was €10. So, or we could get a taxi. The 4 of us, we got taxis back, which were €40, 40 Swiss francs. Sorry, to get back to the apartment after late at night. So it was wonderful.
So daughter is asking about the blunders.
The blunders. Well, we all know, don't we? I mean, Rolex, Tudor, Patek. Yeah, the big boys who sponsor the show, who organize the show, who organize Watches and Wonders, who are in charge of it. They were the blunders. Rolex, Tudor, Patek. Bell and Ross were a pretty bit blunder. They just had ceramic black dials, black watches. Hublot were a bit of a blunder. Grand Seiko were quite a good surprise, I thought. They had some quite nice watches. And the queues to get in was so busy on the Saturday and Sunday. The queues to get into the JLC booth, the Zenith booth, the Vacheron booth, the Lange booth. You had to queue the Cartier booth, the Panerai booth. You had to queue up to stay in these.
Yeah, that eats a lot of time.
Yeah, it wastes a lot of time queuing up. You know, just to get in and look and watch a little film and look at some watches, and then you leave after 10 minutes. You know, it's.
So Crappy is asking, can one go from London to Geneva by train?
Hypothetically, you could, but it'd be more expensive for me because I live in the north of England, so I'm not near the Eurostar, so I'd have to pay £120, which is what I paid in flights, just to get to London, and then I'd have to get a Eurostar to Paris, and then get a train from Paris to Geneva. So it'd probably work out about £400.
Yeah, and probably
traveling
2 days
that way.
of travel.
And 2 days of travel, yeah. So it's a lot easier just to fly. Yeah.
So Holmberg says next year Escapement Show needs a press pass. Absolutely, because entry was not cheap. And Crappy is asking, so he's naughty, but that would have been my question. What is your opinion about Bremons, about the new model, and about where the brand is generally going?
There was a Bremont booth there, Crappy. Yeah, it was quite big. I didn't go in it. The brand they seem to have, rather than fixed the stupid that was up with the brand, and fixed what was going on, they've ditched their brand identity, and they've got new people in charge. They've been bought out. The English brothers have been bought out by new people, and they've seemed to be copying Hamilton, and a cross between Hamilton and Doxa for a lot of their watches. For one of the main watches, the one with the compass bezel, and they seem to be stealing other brands' identities now rather than forging their own. And yeah, I don't know what to make of them. They've come up with this logo, which looks like a cross between, which they explain in their Instagram video. It's a cross between plane's propeller, the Union Jack flag, and a couple of other things. But it looks like a clothing brand's logo in England called Stone Island. Which a lot of football fans wear, or the people who go to watch football used to wear. But it's terrible.
What I find positive about Bremont is that they fixed their pricing a little bit because they've been
They
ridiculously-
adjusted it.
Yeah.
But I mean, this looks like a Hamilton to me. It looks like they've just copied Hamilton's identity, and that
And then
new
4,000
that new
euros.
that new logo looks awful.
So you as a Brit are not excited about Bremont, so I can't talk this brand up. What I liked is the three-dimensional loom on this particular model. But
Right, yeah.
it's very difficult to see unless you
Yeah,
really have it in-
it's raised up
Exactly,
loom.
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's a bit gimmicky, but it's a bit, like Holmick says, it's a bit perplexing what they're trying to do now. I mean, it's
Holmberg says, did the world need another field watch? That's a good point. And Crappy is very critical today. I mean, he's moaning about every watch that we're trying to sell him. I think he's a little bit butthurt that I haven't shown that a minute repeater chiming. Should we have a look at that?
yeah.
How it sounds?
One thing I was impressed by was the duty-free department at the departures at Geneva Airport. They've got some amazing watch shops there, which is only to be expected.
Did you score a Moonswatch, Snoopy?
No, I bought a swatch for my mum. I bought a Tate Gallery Leger swatch.
Because Hodinkee journalist said that the entire Hodinkee crew bought Moonswatch Snoopys there, and he made a very nice story because they would only sell him one, and he made a story of a black and white, and next to him was a gentleman from Japan who was working also in the industry. He didn't say for which company, and so he was borrowing him the black one while he had the white one. So
right.
That was a very interesting. So let's hear that Invicta. I mean, this channel is called Elite Horology, and now we are talking about Invicta minute repeaters.
I love it. I love it. This is great.
Okay, let's have a look. I hope that you can hear the sound. instead of turning it again, he should activate the chiming.
Yeah, press the button.
Oh, terrible. Okay.
Ehrlich gesagt, ein neues
Ah,
This
so
is
it's
not
just
going
like,
anywhere.
no, not going anywhere. That is just a lot of rave music with a bit of
Okay.
showing the watch.
Let's try another one from Russia. I haven't checked those out, so. Oh my God, what is that? No. Lemon, I'm sorry, Crappy. I must prepare that if we are able to hear the chiming. I'm really intrigued, but I didn't find something. Yeah, Tim Mosso's hand and probably his baby yelling in the background. $409. Yeah, I must listen to that chime and probably ask Thierry Stern's opinion about that. So, Thomas, are we having an escapement show on Saturday?
No, next Saturday. Next Saturday,
Okay.
yeah.
And what is the topic?
It's going to be a very, very belated Watches and Wonders roundup.
Okay.
So
Looking
we're very behind the very behind, and everyone will be very bored of Watches and Wonders by then. But I'm just going to do my little report of my visit.
Well, you've been there, and many people haven't been there, so it's a first-hand report, and I'm very much looking forward to that. I'm just putting a link to the Escapement Show in the comments. Please subscribe and visit the channel. This is also pure watch talk and very enjoyable show.
Yeah, please subscribe, guys.
So what do you think, Thomas? We are now 1 hour 40 minutes. I think we're gonna wrap this baby up.
Yeah.
Thank you very much for hopping on to help me out. It's always easier when I'm not alone. Should I show that short clip about Recepi's workshop?
Yeah, go for it. Go for it.
Second. I'm trying to stop it. Okay, present. I think that is the coolest video that you made. Can't get it.
Just sat at a bar in Geneva having a drink, and what's on the same street? Recepi's workshop. Absolutely fascinating. Let's take a look inside here.
All clean and tidy, solid wood furniture, amazing.
Fascinating. One of the best watchmakers about. It's his workshop. Just sat.
Yeah,
Okay.
and Russell 996 commented on my heavy breathing that I must have been excited.
Well, I can sympathize. So yeah, Patel Philippe promoted your channel on the Logs report, he said, and yeah, so we did some promotion for your channel.
Oh,
And
thank you.
so yeah, thank you very much again for joining me. Thank you, Patel Philippe, for giving your unqualified opinions. Always appreciated. Thank you very much for everyone who was joining us for tonight.
And shout out to OC. I saw him in Geneva, and he's a gentleman, pure gentleman, and he's a really nice. It was really nice to meet up with him, and yeah, class act, must say.
I hope that that OC is back very soon here on the channel, but he has been very busy in Geneva. But I hope that that he's joining us on the panel here and also gives us his first-hand impressions. And yeah, thank you very much again. See you all very soon, and please like, subscribe, tell your friends, and you have a wonderful evening, day, where you watch us, and see you very soon. Bye bye, Thomas.
Take care, everyone.